Scooter Braun might have just gotten himself in trouble with Swifties again. So he's come out and he's talked about the controversy around buying Taylor Swift's back catalogue back in 2019, and he said he didn't deserve the hate that he copped back then. And he said, and I quote, "I can't worry about everyone's niece being mad at me." That is a slight to Swifties right there. But I don't want to pile on too much because there was actually a lot of ownership in this interview that he did with Stephen Bartlett for the Diary of the CEO podcast. So he opened up about this firestorm that he walked into when he bought Big Machine Records, which was tied to Taylor Swift back in 2019, which had then made him a co-owner of her first 6 albums. He said at the time that he thought he would be working with Taylor Swift amongst all of the Big Machine artists, but that he'd only met her a couple of times before that. And around the same time, he'd started working with Kanye West, who we know has slighted Taylor Swift on many occasions. Scooter on this podcast now admits that was his blind spot, that he had this arrogance around the relationship that him and Taylor Swift might have. Now, instead, as we know, she posted this Tumblr post where she called it the worst case scenario. And the backlash around it was instant and intense. But in his interview with Stephen Bartlett, Scooter said that he was quite shocked by the reaction and he actually felt it was deeply unfair.
When something happens to you that feels deeply unfair and you can't fix it, then you really gotta look at everything and realize the role you played in this, or maybe this or that, or who do you want to be, or how to... So I'm grateful.
However, he said that the experience gave him empathy for his artist, who'd faced a lot of criticism in the past, which he didn't really understand. And now he kind of gets what it's like to face that kind of criticism.
Having that experience allows me to have empathy for the people I worked with, who I would always say, yeah, I understand, but I never knew what it was like to be on the global stage like that. I never knew what criticism like that felt like.
It was also quite a low point for him personally as well. It was the end of his marriage. He went through a divorce at the time, and both of those experiences inspired a tattoo that he got on his arm that says, "Enjoy the ride," which is a mantra that he now lives by. So that's why in 2020, Scooter sold the masters to Shamrock Capital for a reported $300 million. He said he'd figured out a way where everyone could be a winner, and he washed his hands of it, essentially. Taylor, of course, took another route, re-recording each of the albums one by one. And here's where the timing gets so interesting. Not that long ago, possibly very close to around the timing of Scooter Braun sitting down for this podcast, Taylor announced that she had bought back her entire masters. She announced at the end of last month that she has bought back all of the music, all of the artwork, all of the music videos, and her unreleased songs. So I guess Scooter was right. Everyone was a winner in the end. Everyone and their nieces.